The Armenian National Committee of Australia launched into 2010, propelled by the enthusiasm generated during last year's Advocacy Week. As a grassroots organisation, it is our responsibility to include our community in all aspects of our activities. This is a responsibility we once again delivered on. We reach out to 50,000 Armenian Australians through our various media outlets, community events and affiliations. The Armenian Relief Society, Galston College, the Armenian Youth Federation, Hamaskain and Homnetmin. These are just some of the organisations with which we work and represent on the public arena. We hold events that serve various purposes. Film screenings, which this year included The River Ran Red, allow us to educate and motivate our community. We participated in various panel discussions this year, bringing expert involvement of international guests such as Seto Boyajan, an expert television analyst on the Armenia-Turkey protocols. This helped our community better understand the topic at hand.
They have to earn it. To earn it, they have to be a democratic country. To earn it, they have to have laws that are fair. Unlike the Article 301 that criminalizes any act that criticizes Turkey.
Our Enroll to Vote program took great significance in an election year, adding to the Armenian vote in Australia. But more than this, we also embarked upon a program to begin serving the public affairs needs of Armenians in Asia.
Our coverage of the most fiercely contested Australian federal election was unprecedented. We met with candidates and sitting members in North Sydney, Bennelong, McMahon, Blaxland, Warringah, Bradfield and Mackellar to report back to our community their positions and policies regarding Armenian Australians. These efforts ensured that an informed community made the correct decisions when casting their united vote on election day. Following a New South Wales State Parliament exhibition hosted by the Armenian National Committee of Australia, State MPs Jonathan O'Dea and Victor Dominello became the first and second legislators to publicly support Nagorno-Karabakh's self-determination. Wherever Armenians are in need, ANC Australia is first on the scene. When Georgia's Deputy Foreign Minister addressed the Sydney Institute, ANC Australia was there to challenge his government's persecution of Javakh's Armenians. But our most pressing issue remained the Armenian genocide. ANC Australia's activities in the nation's capital this year led to an unparalleled drive that will undoubtedly lead to federal recognition of the Armenian genocide. We made sure that when our beloved genocide survivor, Mr. Arshak Badelian, passed away, the Armenian genocide became a hot topic on the floor of the House of Representatives. Off the back of a grassroots campaign to confront genocide denial, more than 1,000 emails, letters and phone calls reached the office of the then member for Bennelong, Maxime McHugh, and resulted in a clear reversal of policy regarding the Armenian genocide. McHugh, who had previously referred to the Armenian genocide as a tragedy, changed her position, challenged her own party policy and joined MPs Joe Hockey and Paul Fletcher in addressing Parliament and accurately characterising the events of 1915 as genocide.
Of the Armenian genocide.
The Armenian genocide.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I've long argued that this Parliament should recognise the Armenian genocide that occurred in 1915. In the past month, the Swedish Parliament and the United States House Foreign Relations Committee have both recognised the genocide, and these are very welcome developments. More and more legislatures are voting to recognise this past injustice, and it's time that Australia joined in.
This was a breakthrough year in press coverage for our community. The Armenia-Turkey protocols, Nagorno-Karabakh, the Armenian genocide and the Armenian Relief Fund of Australia all attracted mass media coverage, with major print, online, radio and television outlets all contributing. During April's 95th anniversary commemorations of the Armenian genocide, a protest held outside the Turkish consulate in Sydney was covered favourably to our cause on SBS television, ABC television and the 7 network.
A protest over a World War I atrocity became heated outside an eastern suburbs embassy this afternoon. Hundreds of Armenian, Assyrian and Greek protesters clashed with Turkish Australians and police outside the Turkish consulate in Wallara. Protesters were demanding the Australian and Turkish governments officially recognise the Armenian genocide when 1.5 million people were killed after World War I.
Australia's highest rating radio presenter, Alan Jones, also took up the case when he interviewed Dr. Panagiotis Diamadis of the Australian Institute for Holocaust and Genocide Studies, bringing the case for Armenian genocide recognition to millions of Australians who listen to his program every day.
Last weekend there were angry scenes at the Turkish consulate in Sydney. More than 500 people of Armenian background gathered to protest against what they say is the Turkish government's denial of what's known as the Armenian genocide. Around 1.5 million Armenians were killed or driven from their homes and their land by the then Ottoman Turkish government.
ANC Australia used the media to show solidarity with our supporters. We were interviewed on SBS World View, expressing our defence for the Honourable Joe Hockey, who was criticised by Turkish Ambassador Oguz Ozcay for his calls to have Australia recognise the Armenian genocide. The Turkish ambassador, time and time again, tried to unethically intervene in local Australian politics, and on each occasion, ANC Australia was aggressive in alerting the Australian public through the media. We were also interviewed by local newspapers, including the Fairfield Advance, when a monument erected to respect victims of the Assyrian genocide was vandalised with a Turkish crescent. Significantly in Australia, News Limited's The Punch, ABC's The Drum, The Australian, the Sydney Morning Herald and the National Times all covered the uniquely historical connection linking Australia's human rights workers and the Armenian genocide survivors during and immediately after the massacres. This, along with press coverage we received in Japan regarding Japan's role in saving Armenian refugees from the genocide, was a particular highlight.
This year, ANC Australia grew from a volunteer organisation to a professionally staffed unit. ANC Australia registered with all the Australian regulatory bodies. Under our new structure, we appointed Varant Magrdichan as our first Executive Director. We recruited a member of the Armenian Youth Federation to conduct administrative duties, and we welcomed Greg Solomonian to chair the board and oversee activities. As a result, an already capable and highly motivated organisation suddenly became further empowered. ANC Australia's presence grew, our activities multiplied, and our sphere of influence broadened. When the Australian Institute for Holocaust and Genocide Studies, the Australian Hellenic Council and the Assyrian Universal Alliance needed assistance, ANC Australia was there to lend a hand. When Right Council was debating the use of the Armenian flag, ANC Australia was on hand making representations. When the Holocaust Museum welcomed school students to learn about the genocide, ANC Australia was speaking and educating. When the Turkish ambassador labelled the Armenian genocide a historical conflict in an article on Jewish news website JWire, the Armenian National Committee wasted no time in contacting the website, having the article removed and replacing it with one affirming the historical reality of the Armenian genocide. These are just some of the important activities ANC Australia has conducted as a result of our growing capacity. The future is bright.
In ANC Australia, I see the future of our community. This highly skilled, intensely motivated and results-based unit has restored pride in our people. ANC Australia has brought to us a confidence that will see us reach our objectives. It is my honor to guide these professionals as they make representations on our behalf. I fully endorse ANC Australia, the voice of our community.
ANC Australia is your voice.
ANC Australia is your voice.
ANC Australia is your voice.
Whether it is a voice for Armenian genocide recognition, a voice for Nagorno-Karabakh independence, a voice for Javakh Armenians, or a voice for Armenian Australians, the Armenian National Committee of Australia is your voice.